Tony Robbins says that success leaves clues. It leaves the breadcrumbs. But how do you become the detective that can read these clues to help you succeed faster? We're talking about it in today's video, and it's all about modeling behavior. Welcome back to the channel, and if we haven't met yet, my name is Shane Parks. I'm the founder of Operation Passive Income, and on this channel I love to talk about how everyday people like you and I can actually start to build businesses and multiple income streams right from our house. You know, whether it be through COVID or just normal layoffs. I came from the corporate world, so I saw the way all of that worked, right? There's not a lot of security in there if you really start to think about your fate, your livelihood is dependent upon the opinion of somebody else. It's kind of scary. I didn't want to leave myself in that position. So 2.5 years ago, my wife and I, we started building a business right from this house where we were serving people. We were helping people in a very specific target with a problem. We turned it into a product, we turned it into a service, and now we have a successful membership as well, right? Creating us the opportunity where first my wife was able to come home from her job, and now I've been able to come home from my job as well, giving us kind of that freedom to be able to schedule our time the way we want, right? To be able to go on vacation without having to request PTO, being able to make our work-life balance a priority. And that's what I'm passionate about teaching here on this channel. And one of the ways that we did it, one of the reasons we were able to get where we've been able to get to, is through this concept called modeling, right? How do you model behaviors? How do you start to watch the success path of other people and start taking yourself down the exact same path, right? Now, I do want to preface this. By no means am I saying copy anybody else. You're not looking to copy, but you can absolutely model, right? If you go search on YouTube for any particular topic, you are going to find hundreds of videos on that topic. Those hundreds of people who are talking about that one thing, right? Why can't you go and talk about that same one thing, right? If you know about that topic, if you understand the subject, you can be right out there doing the exact same. And you see, 2.5 years ago, my wife and I, we actually used this concept, right? Modeling behavior to grow our own business. We saw the steps that other people took to grow online, build up a community, build up a following. We saw how other people structured a website to be able to sell digital products. We found other people who had built up a successful membership. And so we went and we learned from others on how we could start to structure our business. But then at the same time, we gave it our own flair, we gave it our own spin, we spoke from our mouths, right? We talked through our voice from our story. But we learned that from watching other people, okay? And when it comes to modeling behavior, right, we already established it's not copying, it's modeling, right? It's taking the same path but doing it yourself. You also need to understand that there is no shortcut, okay? Everybody at the end of the day has to put in the work. We're looking for passive income. In order to build up passive income, or in this case, really, call it what it is, it's more automated income. It takes a lot of that upfront work in order to start developing this, right? And so everybody has to put in the work. There is no shortcut, but there is a path. And I want to make sure that we see the path for what it is. So if you are an aspiring entrepreneur, or if you're somebody who has a product that you're looking to try and market it a little better, a little more efficiently, how do you start deciphering some of these clues that are out there, right? Well, start by understanding that your top 3 competitors and the top 3 people that maybe you look up to online, they are already actively doing the thing that you are wanting to do, right? So how can you go through their ecosystem, through their content, understand where they're coming from, understand where their mentality is, their behaviors are, their content cycle, and start to piece that together to help give you direction on what your next step is. And a great concept of this, right, is from Valuetainment from Patrick Bet-David. He talks a lot about what is your next 15 moves, right? Most people may know what their next 1 to 3 moves are in their business, in their life, in their finances, right? But what are your next 15 moves? How do you put together a plan so as you grow, as you continue to move forward, You know what step number 3 is. You know what step number 4 is. And even more important, how do you make sure you're not doing step 12, right? Your 12th move, and when you should have been doing your 3rd move? Why are you doing move number 10 when really you should be doing move number 4? And understanding what those are and how to piece those together really comes from this concept of modeling research, right? Which allows you also to get to one of the best benefits of an entrepreneur or solopreneur is your own personal growth, right? 3 years ago, I didn't know how to make a website. 3 years ago, I didn't know how to turn on, I didn't even own a DSLR. Didn't know how to use one, right? Didn't know how to edit a video. And yet now, everything I do, while it may not be the best, right? I may not be the best video editor. I may not be the best copywriter. I may not be the best email marketer, but I can at least limp my way through as I grow, right? And my video production skills from 3 years ago were terrible compared to where I am now. But where I am now is not where I'm going to be another 2-3 years into it as I continue to produce more video or continue to write more emails or continue to build out websites. So as you go through and do this, as you model these behaviors, understand that yours is not going to be as good as theirs right now, right? Sean Cannell, love him, talks about YouTube videos, talks a lot about how you cannot compare your beginning to someone else's middle. You cannot compare your middle to somebody else's right now, right? Everybody started from somewhere as well, but we can follow the path, right? That's why we want to model their behaviors. So how can we break this down into a process? I'm a process type person. I love how to figure things down and break it down to a part where this becomes a system, right? And understanding first that there's what they call 4 levels of competency, okay? Now again, this is not my original idea. This is modeling behavior. I've seen this through other resources. I've taken this in. I believe it is something that needs to be shared. So I'm going to share the 4 levels of competency with you, which brings us to level 1, right? Which is being unconsciously incompetent, meaning you don't know what you don't know, right? If you've never heard of these 4 levels of competency, that is something you are unconsciously incompetent about, right? And so just not being aware that something is something, whether that be you're not aware of how somebody does search engine optimization or that it's even a thing, right? Or the concept of copywriting and how your email marketing, your sales pages, building out a website, all of those words on there is considered copywriting. Well, if you didn't know that you needed to be good at copywriting, how do you even know that you need to start learning something like that? So that's level 1, is unconsciously incompetent. Level 2 is where you move from being unconsciously incompetent to consciously incompetent. You now know that this is something that you don't know, right? You're aware that you don't know how to do email marketing, but you know you need to learn. You don't know how to edit videos, but you now know you need to learn. You don't know how to form an LLC, but now you know you need to learn, right? So being aware of the fact that this is something you don't know is level 2, which leads you then into actually working on it, right? And as you start to get better at it, you at least understand how it works, you can start to become level 3, consciously competent, right? You now know that you can send out an email broadcast. You now know that if you record a video, you can sit down, you can do basic edits, put in an outro, add some audio to it. You are now competent enough, but you have to really think your way through every step. You have to be conscious about what it is you're doing. As you continue to do things better and better and better, it allows you to become unconsciously competent, right? And think of this like as you're driving a car. If you've been driving a car for more than 6 months, maybe, right? You can probably hop in a car, turn it on, back out, and you're not thinking about it a lot. You're just cruising down the interstate. You're adjusting to the lines on the road. You don't even have to think about it. You are unconsciously competent. You can do this while you're sleeping, right? Now, that's where you're trying to get to eventually with all of these skills, but not every skill is going to be the right skill for you. And that's where over time, if you're modeling behavior, you'll notice that a lot of your entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, they either start to hire or outsource parts of their business, right? I wasn't aware of that. There's parts of our business right now we outsource. because I'm not all that confident on it. And so I can actually hire somebody that can do that for me. But as you start your business, you want to at least know all these different skills and what other people are doing. You want to become at least consciously incompetent to the things that they're doing so that you can work your way up that scale. All right, so let's talk about what are some actual steps you can take to really start to break this stuff down. Now, I think there's two different forms of modeling. There's tactical modeling, right? How somebody actually runs their day-to-day business, how do they formulate their content, how do they market their products and services. But then there's also mental modeling, right? How do you frame your frame of mind in similar ways that the most successful people have, right? And when you're talking about mental behaviors, you're talking things about rituals, right? Mentality, how they see money, how they, where they place their time and energy, right? What's their morning routine tend to look like? And then more on the tactical side of the business, how often are they posting on Facebook? How often are they sending them an email market? How often are they launching a new product? How do they actually bring people into their ecosystem? What do their lead magnets look like? That's more of the tactical side. But really, for any solid entrepreneur, right, any decent business person, you need to be able to match up both the tactical and the mental in order to see the same kind of success that other people are seeing. Now, before I get into some actual questions that I want you to start looking at as you follow your competitors, as you look at the people that you admire and follow online, I actually have a worksheet for you. And this is a worksheet that will take you through and ask you questions to go deep dive into their ecosystems, right? So you can start seeing how are they speaking to their audience, who is it they're talking to, how are they formulating their thoughts, right? How do they think about their business and abundance and law of attraction and a lot of those kind of things. These worksheets will force you to kind of go deep dive and then find some commonalities behind it, okay? So if you want to go through this exercise as we go through the video, be sure down in the description, right at the very top, I've got a work guide for you that'll actually give you some of these questions to ask so that as you go do some research and do your looking and following, you can actually take a look at what are they doing and what are the things that I can start to model for faster growth ourselves. So be sure to go grab that guide, and then while you're down there, make sure if there's any value to this video at all, please hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification. I'm dropping a new video every Thursday, and then I go live every Friday night, 8:30 p.m. to actually do a Q&A on each week's topic. And then I also have a matching blog post to go along with this as well. So I like to give, when I'm talking about a subject, I want to give all of the resources in the same week, drop it for you so that you can get the full grasp of what it is we're talking about. Because I feel like this is really important if you are looking to start a business or grow a business that might be struggling right now, right? So make sure you hit that, and then also smash that like button for me. Hit that like button for me, help me boost up the algorithm. I really want to make sure that we help as many people on this operation towards passive income and get people back some more time with their families and be able to focus on their things that they're truly passionate about. But let's go ahead and dive into these actual steps, right? So how can you go about modeling some of the more tactical behaviors? Well, I want you to do this. I want you to go through and I want you to write down your top 3 competitors, the top 3 people that you follow, right? And I want you to dive in and first start going through their ecosystem, okay? If they have a lead generation, right, if they got a freebie to give out, pop your email in there. And I want you to see where that takes you, right? What is the email that you receive back? How is it written? What's their call to action, right? But also, what's their content cycle look like? How often are they showing up on YouTube? How often are they publishing a blog post or a podcast, right? How many Instagram posts do they do per day or per week? How many TikTok videos are they putting out every day, right? Those are things that as you start to look at the different people that you follow, you want to start to identify what are some of these commonalities, right? What are all people are kind of doing in the same vein? Because if all of them are doing those things, pretty good indication that that's probably something you should be focusing in on too, right? If they're doing 2 posts to their Facebook page, they're doing 2 videos, 1 blog post a week, 1 video a week, then maybe that's the right formula for you, right? A good place for you just to kind of start. But then there's also modeling the mental behaviors. And I think this part is really important, right? what is their story? And I think it's important to make sure that as you start to model others, one common thing that you'll find is everybody has a story. Everybody has that beginning, their reason, their why, what they've gone through, and why they're where they are now, right? Everybody has a story. What's theirs? And start finding some commonalities behind it. This can help you start to formulate your story. Then the next little bit is, what's their morning routine look like? How do they set up their day, right? Do they have a morning routine? Do you have a morning routine? This is one that I've had to really kind of struggle with. I'm a late night person. I'm not really a morning person. So for me, I have a morning routine now, but for me, a lot of my work happens at night. But I'm still trying to set up my day to where I can handle things in the AM, take care of certain parts of my business, focus in on my kids, but then still set myself up to be successful working at night, right? In the evening, when my kids are in bed, where I don't have coming through the microphones, right? But also, what are their beliefs about money, right? I think it's really easy to think that there's a scarcity around things. A lot of your most successful people, they think differently about money, right? They think that there's an abundance and there's more than enough to go around. And to be honest, I promise you, there really is. There's a lot of money out there. And online, it doesn't take a massive following to actually be able to monetize in an effective way to make real impact for you and your family, right? But also, what are their core values? What are the things that they're truly passionate about? And then how do they value and manage their time? I think this goes back to routine, but at the same time, I don't work in the same way that somebody who works a normal job works now, right? And before, when I still had my normal 9-to-5 job and building up our business on the side, I worked more than anybody that I knew, right? It was all day working. My stores were open from 9 to 9. I was up at 7 already pulling reports. I'd come home, try and spend a little bit of time with my kids, get them to bed by 9 o'clock. My stores are closed, and then from 9 to midnight, that's when we were working, right? So how do they value their time, right? What's the kind of sacrifice they put in at the beginning in order to get where they were now, right? From where we were now, I still put in a lot of hours, but they're strategically placed to the hours that I want to put in, right? Right now it's Wednesday at 12:34 p.m. My son is sleeping. My wife is working on her business. I'm in a different room now recording. But when he wakes up from his nap, I'm gonna go hang out with my son, and I'll come back to this later on tonight. And so how do you value your time? How do they value your time? And what commonalities can you find behind that? At the end of the day, the lesson's this, right? The next time you receive a marketing email from somebody that you follow, instead of reading it for what they're trying to tell you, read it for how they structure it, right? The next time you watch a YouTube video from somebody you follow, instead of watching the video that they put out for you, look at how they structured it. Why did they structure it? Why were the first few seconds that way? Why did they place that tag up here in the corner, right? Like this one about 4 levels of marketing. When you start to take the information in from a different lens for the sake of modeling those behaviors in the future to build your business, it gives you a lot more insight into just the message that's being delivered to you, okay? A lot of times if there's somebody you look up to, somebody you want to emulate, don't look at what they say, watch what they do, right? Gary Vaynerchuk is a great example of this. The dude doesn't sell anything. I've never paid Gary Vee $1, but I've watched a ton of his content, right? I watch what he does. I watch him put out, social on scale, at a scale that I have not been able to reach, right? Continuing to strive towards, continuing to try to model, but at the same time, he's all about action, right? Whereas a lot of others are a lot about words. So watch what people do and how they market themselves, how they structure their business in order to help you grow yours. Again, everybody, I hope this helps. I will be live on this topic day after this publishes. You can always go back and watch the replay on that as well. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification. I'll be dropping a new video every Thursday and planning on doing some new Reddit passive income Q&As. Let me know in the comments if that's something you'd like. I'm thinking about going into Reddit, looking at some of these different walls and answering questions by video instead of just doing it through text. So if that's something that interests you, let me know down in the comments, and I will see you guys on the next video.